Hello, my name is Elisa Goff, and I chose to do the muted group theory. Throughout this presentation, we'll cover what the muted group theory is, how it affects language and genders, address the women in politics, Hollywood, and music who are making a difference, and decide if the muted group theory is still relevant. First off, what is the muted group theory? Muted group theory originated from studies by anthropologist Edwin Ardner and referred to women in a group he was studying. Communication theorist Sheris Crameray took it a step further and explored muted group theory through communication, specifically between gender and social interaction. Language and genders. According to Crameray's theory, the language of a particular culture does not serve all of its speakers equally, for not all speakers contribute in an equal fashion to its formation. Women and members of subordinate groups are not free or able as men to say what they wish, when and where they wish, because words and norms for their use have been formulated by the dominant group, men. There are women who are working to make a difference. When I think of muted group, I think of someone who is kind of meek and mild. But this is not the case. There are some very powerful women who struggle with having their voice heard, not because they are not trying, but because they are not being heard. According to Crameray, the vocabulary needed is not available because it was formed by a dominant group. Women also have other obstacles in their way besides just word choice. They have to be mindful of tone, message, words chosen. On top of that, they have superficial issues like makeup, clothing, and hairstyles that they are constantly judged on. Something that men can do that women can't is men have the luxury of telling something straight and without judgment. Women, on the other hand, they have to tell it at a slant. They have to choose their words wisely. They have to not be as direct, not as harsh. They have to really think before they speak and how they tell their stories. Right now in politics, Hillary Clinton is a major political player. She has to be very mindful of how she presents herself. Because she is a woman, she will be judged more harshly on things other than her stances on government and her policies. Muted group theory's relevance was kind of solidified when Donald Trump recently said that Hillary was playing the woman card. Now, this would have never been said about a man, and it's kind of absurd, but this is where we are in politics right now. There are also double standards in Hollywood. There are some major players who are not being treated equally to their male counterparts. An actress, Jennifer Lawrence, recently penned a letter about the pay gap between men and women in Hollywood. She received just as much criticism as she did support for her stance, which this day and age you would think that equal pay for equal work would be a no-brainer, but it's not. Another area is comedy. Comedians are judged differently for using the same words as men. Black comedians such as Amy Schumer, Sarah Silverman, and Chelsea Handler, who are unapologetic in their comedy, but they are often judged harshly for the words that they use that men have been using for years, and it's not been an issue. There are women in music who are trying to make a difference, who are acknowledging the muted group theory. Most notably, I think, is Beyonce. She just released a visual album, and she really speaks to even another subset within the gender, and that's the black female voice. So her last two albums have really been criticized because they do not speak to the masses, but they speak to that specific demographic, and she's all about uplifting and a powerful black female voice. She's been able to do this and be successful with it because, well, she's Beyonce. And last, is the muted group theory still relevant? Despite the progress for equal rights and human rights, muted group theory is definitely still relevant, although maybe not as focused on vocabulary as It has more feminist ties, more feminism theory ties. I do feel like we're in the midst of a change, and we've got more and more women who are challenging the norms, and they're fighting for equality for all, not just women, all minority groups. And I'll leave with a quote from Kramer Ray. She says, "Women's lives are systematically and structurally different from men's lives, and that these differences produce different and differently complete knowledges." So I think that she's acknowledging that women and men are different. We express ourselves differently, and we need the same opportunities to do so. The resources that I used were a book, a first look at communication theory, and this is our textbook for our class. And then the second was an article that Kramer Ray wrote for a muted group theory and communication article asking dangerous questions, women and language. So thank you for listening to my presentation.